ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first edition of EPW Around the Colosseum. With me today, I have the referee, Erwin the Fourth.
Hey, how's it going, Johnny?
Oh, not too bad, Erwin. So, we're going to kick this off, and we're going to talk about December's Fight Before Christmas card, Erwin, which you ref several of those matches there.
Yeah, that was actually my first time with the promotion. I mean, is this what you guys, is this what the business is normally like?
It's normally not that crazy.
Okay.
Speaking of some of that craziness, let's start off with Tyler Watts. The first match of the night, you ref, he gets beat by Skids, and then goes on a tyrant and denounces Empire for Central All Pro Wrestling. Like, from being in the ring, what do you think about that?
Well, that's what kind of threw me because, again, he seemed to be upset at me when I was just doing my job. He runs out and gets a steel chair and wants to crack someone over the Skids over the head with it. I pull it back, roll up for the pin. He says that I can't do my job. But then after that, he wants to denounce the very company that he works for. I don't understand that. What did we do to offend him so much?
I don't know if it's EPW in general or the fans of EPW, because like you said, he's been with EPW for 3 years now, and most of the fans hate him, and it's not a hate, we understand you're a wrestler, it's just a hate, we don't like you.
Wow, okay. So they just don't like this guy.
I mean, you may not have heard it, but there's one fan that just yells at him all match long about just disliking him, so yeah.
Yeah. There was definitely one guy there that was really riding him pretty hard that he seemed to have a problem with, that was getting under his skin.
I mean, then at the night everything changed 3, Tyler had faced Duncan Kincaid in a dog collar match. Like, the fans could not get enough of Tyler's blood. So,
wow.
In a way, I can understand him denouncing Empire for the Central All Pro Wrestling, but like, at the same time, I don't understand. And he wasn't even clear what Central All Pro Wrestling is. Like, is this a NWA type federation? Is this a new wrestling promotion? Do you have any insight about this being a ref?
No, I haven't heard anything on the circuits from any of the other guys, but I'm going to have to put my feelers out. I haven't even heard of a single Central All Pro Wrestling match or anything going on. I have no idea who's even on their roster. My biggest thing in this is that there's rules and decorum in this business. And at the end of the day, you don't sit there and talk about the place that, is putting you over. At the end of the day, if you have a problem with the business, you take it up in the back with management.
Right, because, like, you lose a paycheck if you don't, because they're not going to get back.
I mean, he needs to count his lucky stars, because I think he's actually wrestling coming up. So he needs to thank his lucky stars that management is even giving him a break. Honestly, if it was me, I'd fine him.
I mean, maybe if Christopher Samuel Dean watches us and thinks, he might just go ahead and fine him,
I don't know. Maybe that's something we have to do at some point and get the commissioner on here to help make a little sense of what's going on here. Because right now it kind of feels like the inmates are running the asylum. Again, from the outside looking in, I'm a new ref, but it feels like the inmates are definitely running the asylum here.
Well, this is only episode 1, so there will be plenty of time to get him, Christopher Samuel Dean, the commissioner, and many others on this show.
Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe at some point we can get Tyler here and maybe get his point of view and see exactly what's really eating him.
Right. So, let's move on to another group of individuals who seem to have it out against Empire. Black Flag Rising. Again, you were in some of the matches that not only did they participate in, but they interfered in.
Yeah. This was ridiculous. I mean, these guys kind of came in and just kind of ran roughshod the entire show. There wasn't a match, it seemed like, that they weren't involved in one way, shape, or another. And if they weren't doing anything in the front, they were in the back causing hell. And I couldn't understand it. I mean, they ended up causing the Psychotic Messages, their tag team titles, thanks to interference. And then I believe they even interfered in the main event as well.
Yeah, they interfered in a triple threat. It was Jack Talos. I can't even remember, but like, they cost Jack the match, the triple threat.
Yeah, I believe it was Jack, Badger, and Mitch Onyx, I believe, were all together.
Yes, it was, because before that match, Guy Sterling stole the mic from me when I tried to interview him.
Yes, that is That is a quite charismatic individual you got there in Guy Sterling. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
I believe he made somebody's in the crew's lucky night because apparently they were in charge of filming him the whole night, which was interesting.
Well, let's just hope the film of him going to the restroom doesn't come out.
Yes. Fingers crossed.
And so,
but good news out of that is I believe, thanks to that, Jack Talos decided that he was going to side with the messengers after what all happened, thanks to Black Flag Rising.
Right, which is a major get for the Psychotic Messengers. It's because Jack's a former NWA Mid-United States Tag Champion with Daisy Kills.
Okay.
And
so I'm sure Lucian's got to love that, adding him to his stable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the members of Black Flag, like, we haven't said who they were, so for those who's listening and don't know, it's Trench Blythe, Anarchy, Badger James, and Aaron Michaels.
Damn.
That's damn, yeah.
That's a name.
Yeah. I mean, and as a rep, you might be saying, damn, he's out here again.
Yeah. I can definitely understand that. But the thing is, what is their beef with the promotion? Because yet again, are they in cahoots with Trench now? Is this something with Central All American Pro Wrestling? Are they coming in as well, trying to cause some problems with EPW?
Well, I don't know if they're going to be in cahoots with Tyler. I think they're another force, because if you checked out the previous YouTube videos, the Black Flag Rising has a meeting with Christopher Samuel Dean.
Is that what you wanted? Let's talk.
They ask if that's what he wants, and he's like, step into my office. So what's going on there is the big question.
True. And the commissioner already seems like he's got a lot on his hands already dealing with the Saints of Pro Wrestling and everything.
Right, which, what if he's in cahoots with the Black Flag Rising like it alludes to? Why didn't they take out the Saints?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this isn't looking really good considering he's got election coming up.
Right. I mean, he's got a lot happening, I can say that much.
Yeah, absolutely. But can we talk about my favorite match that I got a chance to call? Has to be Ozzy versus Sweet Cakes.
I mean, that was a interesting match.
Yes, that is to say the least. I did not realize that this was a normal match, but that Miracle on 25th Street fight was something else. And apparently Sweet Cakes took offense to it because he actually cracked his manager over the head after he lost the match.
See, I didn't notice that part when I was there.
Yeah. I mean, I believe they kissed and made up backstage, and trust me, you don't want to see them kissing and making up. I'm still having nightmares about that.
I mean, was it like a Spider-Man situation where Sweet Cakes moved up his mask some, or?
It was, but the thing is, we couldn't figure out who was holding who up, and it was just awkward all the way around. They were laying on the table like this, but still mimicking the Spider-Man thing. It was just weird to see.
Okay, let's move on from that visual right there. You mentioned earlier Jack Talos joining the Psychotic Messengers. Malachi and Tank lost their tag titles that night against BMF, thanks to Black Flag Rising, like you mentioned. And then another person that's been out of action since he faced Ozzy was Wolf of War, who has a shoulder injury. Like, what do you see as the path forward for the Psychotic Messengers?
That's the part that's kind of interesting to me too, because it seems like they didn't even ask for their rematch. It's almost like they're okay with losing the titles. No, they're not okay with how they lost the titles, but they don't seem to be as pissed as I thought they'd be about losing the titles, expanding an immediate rematch. As a matter of fact, Malachi right now is the sure shot champion, right? He has the briefcase right now, which means he's guaranteed a singles title for the EPW heavyweight title at any given time. So is this a sign that maybe they're not caring anymore about the tag team championships? They don't put as much weight in them as they used to? Or is this something that Jack is going to be going for now?
That sure shot title allows them to have, or allows Malachi to have a title shot for any championship. So maybe that's where they're going, is he has that title for the briefcase and they can cash it in next month after that match, which we'll talk about later in the show.
Absolutely. Now that I think about it, you're right. I mean, based on that, he's kind of playing with house money. Father Page had a match with Jason Simon. I mean, that was a pretty brutal tables match, especially towards the end. It seemed like Father Page did not want to put Jason through that table, but he had no choice.
Would you want to end the career of a rookie before it even really starts, though?
No, I can understand that, but in the same token, sometimes you just have to put people in their place and make an example out of them. I mean, how many times do these rookies, come up trying to make a name for themselves off the biggest dog in the yard?
I don't even know if Simon's trying to make a name for himself off Page as much as, like, just whatever Page has done to him in the past and the matches they've had where Jason can't win no matter how close he gets. I think it's just driving him crazy that Page has his number.
Oh, he better watch it. I mean, at that point, he could probably end up hooking up with Tyler at this point in time. You have two disgruntled people running around the business, bad-mouthing the whole organization.
I mean, you got Tyler and Black Flag Rising already gunning for EPW. Like, it takes a lot to destroy an empire, but, like, are these forces gonna do it,
Yeah, I mean, I used to be military in a past life. I mean, this seems like classic, let's start first scouting for the weaknesses before we plot the real attack. It doesn't feel right, the way they just kind of came in and took over the entire show. Who let them in? How did they even get in the building?
I mean, Trench and Badger James had been there previously, and so is Dan. Anarchy is the one that I hadn't seen before. Like, are they just... I guess they just slowly got into the mixture and the title fights and stuff. Because, like, up until the fight before Christmas, they hadn't been one cohesive group. It had been Badger and Trench together. Okay.
Well, see, that's the interesting part. It's just something I was once told, something the second Erwin actually once told me, is that it's a lot easier to storm a castle from inside than from outside. So for all we know, they could have some inside help in being able to allow them to do what they're doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler maybe even has a hand in that, because he's already disgruntled.
I don't think Tyler would have a hand in that, because he just doesn't seem to think that many steps ahead.
Ah, okay.
I think him and Martin Justice, who's already mentioned Central Pro Wrestling on his Facebook, I think they have a plan and they're cooking up something. But I only think Tyler is wanting to end Empire. So you got two opposing forces in Black Flag and Tyler going against Empire, but I don't know if they can do the enemies of my enemies of my friend type scenario.
No, and you may be right. It's very coincidental. This is a very prime time to strike, considering the commissioner's got his hands full already, so he's not able to pay attention to what's going on, and all of this is going on at the same time. It seems odd to me from the outside looking in.
Right. So, the last thing to talk about before we move on to January 20th in that card is the match where it was Adrian Vega and Gemini.
Yes.
Not necessarily their match, but the two things that happened afterwards. This is the first time I'd seen him, but Dominic Whitehead, after a year of being away from Empire, attacked his friend and training partner, Adrian Vega.
Yeah, and then I believe on top of that, we saw the emergence again of Shadow Gemini
right.
coming back, and he attacked Gemini.
And Shadow Gemini, in his various forms, has been a thorn in the side of Gemini. He's cost him a title match before, and now he's back, and not only is he back, but Gemini claims that he's E-Bones.
Okay, real cute, E-Bone. Real cute. Last Saturday at Empire Pro Wrestling, I had a match for the All-American Championship, and my old friend Shadow Gemini made a return. And I don't really need to state the obvious, but he was a shade darker than I normally am. And let's just call it what it is. E-Bone, we all know it was you in the Shadow Gemini costume. So I want you to respond to this video, and I want you to admit that it was you playing Shadow Gemini, and it was that cost me that match. And then I want to remind you that I defeated you last month in a Loser Leaves Empire match, and E-Bone agreed to leave Empire Pro Wrestling forever. So if it was you, and I'm assuming it was, why would anybody else do this? Admit it right here, right now, and leave Empire Pro Wrestling for good. And if you refuse, well then, I might have to get some legal action. I want a response, and I want it quickly, within 24 hours.
And I find that interesting because no sooner as he claimed that was E-Bone, E-Bone went and put a video out online and passed it up to the powers that be that said that he was actually out doing Christmas activities. I believe he was doing Toys for Tots and things like that, so he couldn't be in two places at once.
And by Toys for Tots, you probably mean he was stealing the toys from the Tots, and he mentioned feeding the homeless. He was probably feeding them arsenic or something.
You know, I wouldn't put anything past E-Bone. I mean, even if he was feeding the homeless, I wouldn't be surprised if he was still charging them $5 a plate. I wouldn't put anything about him because E-Bone's definitely about his money at the end of the day. And if he truly did it, this won't be the first video that he posted about it, because if anything I know about E-Bone is he loves the spotlight. But, I mean, he would have no real reason. He shouldn't even be welcomed in the building because last I checked, Gemini beat him. I personally watched them throw him out the arena.
Right. But the thing is, Gemini cheated to beat E-Bones. And E-Bones is trying to find a way, again, with Christopher Samuel Dean, on getting around that stipulation of him having to leave Empire.
So he's doing it by the book. I don't see what the problem is. He's going through the proper channels. He's going through the commissioner and everything. Why would he risk that and be Shadow Gemini at the same time? That would make no sense. That would undermine everything he's doing with the commissioner.
I mean, putting a mask on to beat that loser leaves town stipulation isn't unheard of in wrestling.
No, I get that, but I mean, that could have been anybody under that mask. Hell, that could have been me under that mask, for all we know. We don't know that. We can't just naturally assume that just because he lost, he put the mask on. I get it. Even Hulk Hogan did it back in the day, but no, I have to assume that E-Bone has a little bit more integrity. Why else would he be documenting his whole process of this appeal that he's going through to get back into the company?
But he did it through video. You could take something today and post it 3 days from now, or you can set something to record, or not record, but to post while you're doing something else.
Well, I mean, that's true. That's true. I'll give you that. I believe, let's just give everybody, I just want to give the man a fair shake. I don't know anything about him. Again, he got cheated. And to say that he's actually still trying to go through the proper channels, that's commendable. Now, you may know more about E-Bone than I do, but from what I've seen, the man seems to be above board. He took his lick. He was upset about the fact that he lost, and he's going through the proper channels to appeal it. I don't think he'd do anything to undermine himself while still trying to get back in there, because I'm pretty sure he and Gemini are not done having words.
No, but will it be done in EPW's ring is the question, or will it need to be done outside? Because by the terms and conditions of their previous match, E-Bone should not be in the building. E-Bone should not be at Empire.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I mean, I guess only time will tell. We'll have to, again, this goes back to one of those many things we got to get the commission on to maybe ask him about.
All right. So, January 20th, Southern Oaks Recreation Center.
Yes.
We have Nuclear Warfare 4.
Absolutely.
Erwin, you want to give me the start off with the card?
Yeah. We've actually got a pretty good lineup with that card. Ironically, we just talked about the tag team titles. We've got the Saints taking on BMF for those tag team titles. Again, no sign of the Psychotic Messengers anywhere in that, which just I find odd that they didn't even ask for a rematch.
Which in that match, the Saints seem to have gotten one over on Christopher Samuel Dean because he signed a contract without reading it. During that match, Duncan Kincaid will be the special guest referee, so you don't have to do that match.
Wow.
And a special timekeeper, bell ringer, will be Bud Barnes. So the Saints are going to be all out there, and it's just going to be our tag champs Kevin Sanchez and Rick Russo, which I feel like we've overlooked the fact that BMF are our new tag champions because of the way they won it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the part that really is interesting about it, because they seem confused. I will definitely tell you, as I counted that 3, I was not pretty about it, but I can tell you that Kevin looked really confused when I explained to him that he won. I don't even think they expected to win those titles that night.
I mean, if you look at the history of the Psychotic Messengers, they were the most dominant tag team in Oklahoma all of last year. At one point, they had 4 different titles. So yeah. I mean,
yet
it was
somehow they have had the worst year in professional wrestling, because it seems like systematically they've been losing these belts one by one by one.
Yeah.
And what amazes me is, if we keep talking about the card, it seems like both of them are taking some low-hanging fruit. You've got Tank going for the vacant EPW International Championship right now against Tretch, which is one of the members of Black Flag Rising. I need to understand, how do you get to cause that much ruckus on the show and then you're rewarded with a title shot?
But is it a reward for Trench in the title shot, or is it a reward for Tank? Like, Tank's been a loyal soldier for the Psychotic Messengers. He takes a heck of a licking at times. And so, while it deviates him from the tag championship, him against Trench, after Trench cost him the title, is it a double reward for Tank there, to where he can win a title and get some revenge?
True, I could see that. Gives him a chance to get his hands on him. You actually may be right about that, now that I think about it. I guess that would explain. Then help me understand what Malachi is doing over there for the vacant EPW Internet Television Championship, because he's already got the Sure Shot briefcase. Why is he still going for even more goals? Is this just, again, he's playing with house money at this point?
Yeah, he's playing with house money, and why not try to collect more gold, you know? But he's going to have his hands full. Like, if I'm going to put money down on this match, my money's on regular Rhett. Like, that Sure Shot ladder match back in November, that he was killing it. He was on fire. But you also have Martin Justice and Bud Barnes in that match.
And here's the interesting part about Martin Justice being in this match. I do know personally that I've seen Martin backstage trying to get a word with the commissioner, because he doesn't feel like this should even be a 4-way match. At this point in time, he's been trying to get his hands one-on-one with, I believe, Badger James this whole time.
It's Red James.
Red James, I'm sorry.
I do believe is the one who actually vacated that title. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, he was wanting to get Red James because Red's not answering any calls, even from the commissioner. But yeah, that's going to be a fatal 4-way, and my money's on Red.
Interesting. I don't know. My money's kind of on the baddest man in Oklahoma right now. I mean, you don't wear a t-shirt like that if you ain't backing it up. I think Bud Barnes may actually have a shot in this.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Bud actually back it up in an EPW. He might have been the baddest man in professional wrestling back in the 80s, but I don't think he is now. I mean, especially with, if you look at the nuclear warfare match, you got Jack Tallis in there. Like, he's definitely got to be one of those baddest wrestlers.
This is true. This is true. Jack Tallis is definitely an interesting guy to be in the match, and I think that's going to change a lot in that nuclear warfare match, which we're going to get up to. But the other one that's interesting in this is that Tyler's back, even after what he said, and he has a match with Ozzy at Nuclear Warfare 4.
Right, and we're going to see if Ozzy keeps up this. To me, he's kind of got like a mean streak lately. Like, if you've seen his match against Wolf of War back in November, he was just vicious. He was attacking him, And then that match, the Miracle on 25th Street, he beat Sweet Cakes.
Yeah, he's definitely seems like he's competing from a place of hurt, because when he was in that match with Wolf of War, he was looking for some answers that he just could not get, and it frustrated him to where he pretty much hurt Wolf of War in that process. And I don't think he's ever got those unresolved issues taken care of, and he's just taking out on any and everybody he's in the ring with. I actually kind of feel sorry for Tyler coming up.
I mean, we'll see if that sympathy expands to the fans as well, because, I mean, it's definitely going to be Ozzy. He's a fan favorite almost no matter what match he goes in.
Absolutely. I mean, I actually love him. Like, he's a great guy. I've met him backstage and everything. He's a very good guy. The other one that kind of throws me is it seems like Jason and Father Padge are not done. You would think that he learned his lesson after getting put through a table, but apparently he seems to want a little more.
Well, I think Jason's a little hard-headed. Yeah, he definitely seems to want more. But at what point does this feud end, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it has to end at some point. I mean, at this point in time, the human body can only take so much. This man needs to think about the rest of his career.
Yeah, because, I mean, Jason's young. Like, and no matter what, it seems he can get close to beating Padge, but then he just can't. And I think that's what's driving Jason and eating him inside.
No, absolutely. Let's talk about our last two championships. We've got the EPW All-American Championship. You've got Adrian Vega, you've got Dam and El Gallardo Uno all going together on the triple threat match for the title. Do you still like Vega's chances in this one?
Oh, I mean, that's hard because I am a fan of Gallardo Uno. Like, I love that lucha libre style he brings to the match. But you have Dam in there. Like, not to say Dam's going to be this earth shaker matchmaker, but it's what comes with.
Don't let him tell it he is.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure he's God's gift to the gender he prefers. Like,
yes.
But at the same time, like, with Dam comes the rest of Black Flag Rising.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be a key factor in that match, I think, is how are they going to interfere? Are they going to interfere?
Yeah, and it's almost an unpredictable. You've got too many of them going to be in the building for them not to do this. If anything, I can see this as one more chance for them to make a statement.
I mean, I think everybody but Anarchy's listed on the title or the card.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he's not going to be there and he's not going to be in action.
I wouldn't put it past him at all. I mean, I could still see him in there. Even if we don't see him in front, he could be backstage running them up.
Exactly.
Yep. And then for our EPW heavyweight champion, we have Tommy Too Good taking on our champion, Montego Sega, who clearly has a problem with BMF. I don't know if you've seen the shoulder check that kind of happened last show, but there's some real animosity between Kevin Sanchez and Montego.
You know, I didn't see that one. I was probably busy doing something else. But I'm definitely for Sika in this one, because Guy Sterling, Mitch Onyx, and Romeo Reese are all going to be there also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, then I kind of go for it, because if anything, Guy Sterling has a way of just getting under your skin. And I can see him definitely causing Tommy's having some problems with that match.
But Tommy Too Good's another good athlete that we've seen him in the Call Your Shot match. Like, so that match is going to be interesting to say the least. Like, how's Tommy going to deal with Guy and Montego at the same time?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then finally, the match that we've all been here for, the namesake of this show, Nuclear Warfare. We've got Kincaid, we've got, I believe, who is this? Jean-Claude, Jack Talos, Gemini, Romeo Reese, and Badger James. So far already slated for Nuclear Warfare, and we've still got 2 spots still left unclaimed.
Well, I think they're going to be mystery opponents there at that night. Which I
really?
mean,
so they're announcing them that night?
Yeah, surprise entrance. Like, what better way to sell tickets, you know?
No, that makes sense. So who do you think it could be?
Well, I mean, Mitch Onyx isn't on the card. He'd be a great addition to that. He'd also team up with Romeo Reese in there. We haven't seen Leo Fox in a couple of months. Leo's been with Exodus for the NWA. He could be back in town. I don't know. I mentioned Anarchy. He's probably going to be in the building somewhere. How do we know he's not going to be a mystery man in that match?
True. And it could be even anyone that was already on the card. Any of the winners or losers from the card that could actually show up as well. Who knows? Maybe even one of the messengers can jump back into this match.
True.
Yep, it could be pretty much anybody. But, I mean, again, I'm looking forward to it. January 20th at the Schilling Rec Center. I cannot wait. I believe doors open at 6 o'clock, right?
It's at the Southern Oaks Rec Center.
Southern Oaks Rec Center, okay.
And I'm not sure, but I'll make sure that we share that flyer.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Any other matches?
No, I believe that was all of the matches that I've gone through. I think it's going to be a heck of a show all the way around. I actually can't wait.
All right. Well, I think that's the end for the Around the Colosseum.
Yeah, absolutely. No. Actually, Johnny, this has been amazing. Hopefully we can get to do a little bit more of this as I learn a little bit more about Empire as well. I mean, it's interesting coming from this side as the referee, hearing about all this stuff going on backstage, being new with the promotion.
Right. And I mean, I've been with Empire for about a year now, with helping with commentary, occasionally doing interviews. So yeah, hopefully between your backstage presence and my upfront presence, we can get more information next time. And Around the Coliseum episode 2 will come
Absolutely.
out.
I can't wait. I'm going to see if I can definitely hunt the commissioner down next time we're backstage and see what I can do about that.
All right. Well, for Erwin the Fourth and myself, Johnny Amon, this has been Empire Pro Wrestling Around the Coliseum. Thank you. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment to help us with that algorithm. Good night, folks.
Good night.